This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. I'm here with Franchise Matchmakers. Since 1998, they've been helping those exploring the franchise ownership by matching you up with a perfect opportunity. I'm here with Cindy, who is the consultant partner. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Let's start off a little bit about yourself. You're a multi-franchise owner. You really have been involved in business for much of your life, either corporate America all the way down to small mom and pop shop, consulting, marketing. You've been there and done that when it comes to business. Share with me how this was kind of a natural progression for you, something that you've always done, helping people kind of guide them.
I can absolutely do that for you. I've been in franchise ownership since 2009.
Okay.
And I started with Franchise Matchmakers. My friend and associate, Stacy Swift, actually started the company back in 1998, and she asked me to join her as a consultant. So that's really how I got started. I learned a lot about franchising because I started out doing marketing for her, and it was a natural progression because I was doing some other marketing on the side and doing my own business, for me to just move into the franchise consulting. I became fascinated by it because the opportunities that were out there were just so numerous, and it got my creative juices flowing. And that was where I sort of fell in love with the industry. I learned that it was more than just fast food, which everybody thinks that it is. And Stacy and I together really have been working in the Denver market, in the Colorado market for a long time, and now we've progressed to nationwide. So, and we're still work together.
That is exciting. I mean, obviously we can't discuss the American dream without mentioning business ownership. I mean, that's something that a lot of people want. Do you think that business ownership is alive and well today, even more so than in the past?
I see it definitely being more alive today than I ever have in the past.
Okay.
2009 was a tough time because we were coming out of this, or we were maybe beginning the Great Recession at the time, and there were a lot of people that were getting laid off from their jobs. And in many cases, their alternative was to either start their own business or see if they can find another job, another way. So they may have started their own business, and that was fine. But come 2020, things got really mixed up with the pandemic. We didn't know what was going to happen, and the economy was actually doing very well. So many people actually had good jobs, and maybe they didn't need to buy a business. But what 2020 brought to light was the fact that people didn't control their futures. They didn't control their own hours. They didn't control what they wanted to do with their lives. And by being able to find a business for themselves, they can do that. So in 2021, it's been tremendous. We've seen a tremendous uptick in people
obviously
exploring
it's alive and well.
Absolutely.
Business ownership. I mean, people are tired of working for someone else. They're ready to build their own dream. Sometimes they just want to change. Are these some of the reasons that you've come across yourself? And touch on those for me.
They do. People do want to change, and I'm seeing that a lot right now, especially after working from home. For many people, working remotely had brought to light the fact that I don't have to be in an office to do this. So for some people, the fact that they had to go back to work, they were a little bit resentful. So for some people, they're thinking, hey, I can do this on my own. But then there's others that are facing a situation of not wanting to be beholden to one line of revenue, which a job, you're totally beholden to that one line of revenue. So by starting a side business or something that they can grow while they have their job has become very appealing. So I'm seeing a lot of husband and wife teams where the husband maybe initiates the conversation, knowing that the wife is going to be the one to get it off the ground while he keeps his job. So they can find that satisfaction that they're looking for as a family.
Like you say, not putting all their apples in one basket per se. Definitely diversifying.
Multiple lines of revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a serial entrepreneur myself. For the past 30 years, I've built many companies out there. One thing that I learned quick on was the fact that if you don't have to rebuild the wheel, it's a lot easier. Tell me why a successful system like that of a franchise is really beneficial to somebody who wants to venture out.
You know, and we see this a lot because a lot of the clients that come to me are looking for something different, but they don't necessarily want to start from scratch.
Yes.
They've been in corporate. It's been comfortable for them to be in corporate, to have somebody tell them what to do, but they don't really want people to tell them what to do.
Yes.
But when you buy a franchise, what that comes with is a set of rules or a set of instructions, rather, so they can actually follow the guide rails to stay on the path to find that success. And that's what franchising brings for these people, is that comfort, almost like a hybrid between having that corporate job and being a full-on entrepreneur starting something from scratch.
That is interesting. Obviously, this is an investment for people out there, so they need to do their due diligence. But I mean, let's be honest, we're talking about over 3,000 brand opportunities to choose from. This isn't something I'd want to go on alone. This is really a place where you're in their corner with them. And does that bring you satisfaction knowing that you're helping them navigate through that?
It does. It brings me a lot of satisfaction, because what I do know is I can share with people ideas that they would have never thought of for themselves. I help them save time and money, because if they went on the internet and just Googled franchise, they would never find what they're looking for. They would never find their fit. I know that, so I know that I can save them the time by hand-picking selections just for them based on their motivations, how much money they have to spend, how much they want to spend, what their family looks like, what their lifestyle is. All of those things come into play.
So really, as a franchise consultant, I would imagine the first real skill that you bring to the table is that of just listening. I mean, learning who your client is, and because it's not about what you want, obviously about what they want. Do you enjoy that first part of the process where you're kind of figuring out what it is, and so they don't spend hours sifting through things, you can really, target in?
Yes, I mean, you really have to hear what their story is, because everybody has a story. And so really understanding what the story is, what is really bothering them right now, what they want to keep in their life, what they want to get rid of in their life. You do have to listen for that. You have to understand. And it could be something like maybe a family issue. Maybe they have children at home that need extra care or extra attention that they're not going to share with their corporate employer. They would never share it with their corporate employer because they would be afraid that it would hurt them. But when they're looking for that business, that can be a driver. So you have to listen to their stories, understand what it is that is really motivating them. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. I try to pull it out of them. That's what I do as a consultant, is really listen and understand what's making them tick.
That is interesting. With you and your consultant partner, basically you both bring in 60 plus years of experience to the table. Obviously they're able to tap into that, but you're basically not just finding a match for them, but you're really educating them on franchises in general, the legalities and whatnot. Is that important on the front end? I imagine a lot of people have preconceived notions of what a franchise is.
Yes, they do. Usually, most people think it's just McDonald's or Chick-fil-A. So there is a lot of education that goes into this. And I enjoy that part of it.
Yeah.
What I do know is everybody that I talk to is not going to buy a business. Maybe 1 in 4, maybe 1 in 5, if they get far enough down the path, are actually going to end up buying it. And a lot of that means they just don't understand it, which is why they're exploring it in the first place. So I have to educate, I have to share why they might want to do it, and really see if it's a good fit, because it's not a fit for everyone, and I know that from the bottom of my heart.
That's interesting. I mean, obviously as a professional, you're understanding what their skills are, what their goals are, their interests. Finance is very important, what fits there for them. Once you've figured this all out, I mean, are you really sifting through probably hundreds, thousands in your head, pinpointing down what is good for them? And is that a process where you bring 2 to the table, 3? How does that work?
It is a sifting down to a certain extent. While there are over 3,000 franchise concepts, I don't work with all of them. Sure. I may work with 500 to 600 at a time.
Which is a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot to keep in my head.
Sure.
So I have to do sifting myself. So part of my education is learning about each of these concepts and learning what is going to attract certain people to them. So when I'm talking with people and I'm finding out what's going on in their mind, I've got things going on in my head, like this could be a fit for them, this could be a fit for them. And then I bring probably maybe 10 or 11, because I know people like options.
Yes.
I also know that people want to narrow those down. So I certainly can't bring 700, but I can bring 10 and then help them narrow it down to 2 or 3 at the end for them to do the research on. They can't even do the research on 10.
No.
It seems like a small number, but it's overwhelming. So we have to do the narrow down. But after I bring those select 10 or so, then I let them start to self-select the ones that they're going to take a look at.
That's kind of the fun part, doing that research there.
It is
You've
fun.
already done the education. You've already researched the 500 that you work with. They're tapping into that research. But yet at the same time, they're tapping in more than just your research experience. They're really tapping into your experience because you have done that. You've been there, you've done that. You know what it's like to want to basically, you know, work on a business compared to work in a business.
Right.
And that's something that is your focus. Tell me about that.
Right. Well, I actually own hair salons, but I don't cut hair.
Right.
So people find that interesting. That, what do you mean you don't cut hair? I'm a salon owner, but I don't cut hair for a very specific reason, because if I did, I would be here all the time. I would be working in my business constantly. I would be not only cutting hair, but making payroll and paying the rent and hiring and firing and doing all of those things. So as a franchisee, what we don't want people to do is fall into the trap of working 24/7, which is really easy to fall into. No. And that's not what franchising is. The franchisor doesn't want people to do that either. So it's a matter of finding that fit. And in some cases, maybe you find something that you don't have any background or experience in, but you're willing to learn. What we want them to bring to the table are their operations skills, their management skills, their finance skills, all of those things that made them good at their jobs were while they were in the corporate environment, and bring that into their own business. So it's really going in with an open mind and understanding that some of the most successful franchise options in the world are ones that you would probably never select for yourself, but they're very lucrative and they bring a lot of satisfaction at the end of the day.
That is interesting. I mean, when someone ventures out on their own, let's say not a franchise, that can be one of the riskiest things people do, start a business. I mean, I love entrepreneurs. One of the things that is not risky is really to be able to sit down with you, a professional, and find out what your options are. Because after all, this is something they can do that's free of charge, which is amazing. It's really a win-win opportunity for both involved.
Exactly. That's the fun of this whole process. For people who don't know how it works, I'm sort of like a real estate agent for franchises, if you think of it in those terms. So I don't get paid for this until somebody actually buys a franchise. So we have to go through the exploration and understanding and learning and all the due diligence, which is actually the fun part of this, because it allows people to dream a little bit without expending, without them having to break out their checkbook.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's amazing to tap into a professional like that, where you're willing to spend that time, educate me a little bit on that. You know what the odds are, like you say, 1 in 4, 1 in 5, yet you're willing to listen to them and decide if that's the right path for them. And if it is, that's pretty exciting, because you both go on that together. I mean, to me, it's basically wanting to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Right, right. And having the experience of both Stacy and I have been business owners in the past, so being able to have somebody who says, this happened to me when I owned my business. This is what I've experienced. This is what you'll experience as you go down that path. I can prep them for some of their bigger challenges that they wouldn't even know about. They would never even consider it being a challenge.
Obviously, the company is located here in Colorado, but quite honestly, you can serve anybody nationwide with technology now. Is this something that's as easy for them just to go on the website and kind of do some perusing and find out what's out there and contact you and even set up something over the phone?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We do that all the time. Okay. Because of our world, we can do a lot of things by Zoom now. So we've all become very good at that. We're very skilled at meeting that way. Now, in the past, I've met in person, and if it's somebody here in the local market, I'm happy to meet with them and talk with them. But really, I do work all over the country. So I'm working with people in California, I'm working with people in Florida. Being able to find what they're looking for is easy for me, because I can learn the market, I know what to find for them. And knowing what their skills and their background are is what I need to know. So it really doesn't matter where they live. I can help them wherever they are.
That is interesting. You mentioned back in the 90s there was a shift in thinking because of the recession and whatnot. Then in 2020, a lot of things changed. People actually slowed down long enough to reflect and ask themselves, what am I doing? I mean, do I enjoy what I'm doing? Do I like this? Obviously, it was a rough time for many people, but yet for your organization, it's been a time that has been exciting, probably, because you see people come out of the woodwork that are excited to maybe venture out on their own. Does this continue to be rewarding for you?
It's always rewarding for me. I love it so much. And a lot of it is because that passion for franchising is now in my blood, because I am a franchisee and I've done it myself. So I can tell people about it and have people understand the realities of it. So it doesn't go away for me. Plus, what's really exciting is there's always new businesses. I always have new businesses coming into my portfolio that I can learn about and get excited about and share that with people and help them understand there are options out there. It's not just, I have to go get a job. There's options for them, and they may or may not do it, but I can certainly find something that'll be a good option for them if they do decide to buy a business.
That is wonderful. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen. What you're going to see is the website. On the website, first of all, take a look at the different companies that basically this organization works with. They can basically walk you through the process. You can take a look at different franchises that are available for here in the state of Colorado. You can check them out by category and really get your kind of brain juices going and getting excited about what you want to do. It's real easy to set up a consultation. Basically reach out to them there on the website and find out more. And just keep in mind, if you're thinking about venturing out, starting your own company, without a proven success formula, honestly, the odds are pretty rough. When you're talking about franchise, these are success proven systems that have been put in place, and basically, like she said, they're guidelines that basically help you down that path in venturing into something that can be very successful, not only for you, but maybe to pass on to your kids as well. Once again, that is Franchise Matchmakers since 1998. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.